Hey there, welcome to Monday Move where we enhance your asana. Today we are going to work with one of the most common hip openers used in yoga classes today, the pigeon pose. I attempt to say the Sanskrit word, but I'll probably butcher it, so let's just stick with pigeon pose. So, some things to keep in mind in pigeon pose. This can, if you have any knee issues, be mindful. If it bothers your knee, there's another variation of this lying on your back that you can do, which I will be sure to show you. You really want to make sure your hip points are facing forward, and also the back leg is key as well. So we'll kind of touch base on how all that integrates into the pose to make it the best pigeon pose you can. So let's hop on our mat and get started. Okay, so I'll show this from you from both directions, the profile this way and then facing you, because some of the angles might be easier to see in different positions. So starting on your hands and knees, the first thing you're going to do is slide one knee forward. I'm going to take my right knee up to my thumbs if I can. And then I'm going to slide my right heel to the left to bring an angle into my shin. Okay? So now my foot, I'm going to turn this way. I'm not just going to keep my foot nice and passive. I'm going to slightly flex at my ankle and turn my toes back up towards my knee. This will help support the knee joint by keeping the foot active. So I'm here. Now I'm going to shift my hips back so they can sink down towards the floor. What happens a lot of times is the left hip or the back hip, people are going to open up and possibly even sit on the outside of their hip for pigeon pose. We don't want that to happen. You want to keep this hip point squared forward, aligned with the right hip or the front hip. Okay, so I'll show you that difference from this side. So if I let my right hip go and relax my hips, I come to sit on the outside of my hip. We don't want that. That's not getting into the stretch that we want. So I'm going to pull my left hip point forward to square them off. My hip may not be resting on the floor, but that's okay. The last thing is the back leg. You want to look at your back leg. Sometimes the leg ends up being really winging out to the side. So look back. Make sure the leg is straight back from the hip joints and the toes are pointing forward. And then lastly, the front shin. We're going to press that through the floor so the outer hip is engaging and stretching at the same time. Because now I can actually sink a little bit deeper into the stretch now that I've engaged the muscle as well. You can stay upright, like I am here. If you are staying upright, you really need to remember to connect to your core, scoop up your lower belly so you don't collapse too much into the lower back. The other option is to fold your chest over the front thigh and come into a sleeping pigeon, resting your forehead on the floor or hands or a block, a pillow, whatever you have. And then bring your hands back up. And that's pigeon. And I'll show that to you from the opposite side. So I'll say turn this way. So now my left knee is going to come forward. I'm going to slide my shin to the right, and I'm going to activate my foot. So my foot's flexing back up towards my knee. I'm scooting my hips back, sinking them down, but not letting my right hip pop up and open up to the right. I'm keeping that right hip forward, and I'm double checking my back leg that it's not winging off the side of my mat. It's straight back from my hip. I walk my hands back to lift my chest. I engage the small part of my belly, and I'm pressing the shin, my front shin, down into the mat. And once I do that, I find I can sink into the stretch a little bit further. I'm going to inhale here, and then exhale, fold myself over my front thigh, taking a moment to enjoy the stretch. And on my next inhale, walk my hands back and come back into a tabletop position. Okay, so a quick review. When you bring your knee forward, bring your shin out at an angle, sit your hips back, but don't let the opposite hip pop up. Keep your hips square. Flex your front foot and press your front shin through the floor, and the back leg is straight out behind you. You can stay upright if you keep lifting the chest, keep the core engaged. If you fold forward, find something of the forehead to rest on if it does not comfortably reach the floor. All right, as always, if you have any questions or comments, please use the comment section below. Try it out. Let me know how it feels. Oh, and lastly, the variation if you do have knee issues, the option on the back. Figure 4. So laying on your back, knees bent. The hip you want to stretch, you'll just cross that foot over your ankle and then pull the opposite thigh towards you to hold the back of the thigh. And that's a great variation if you do have issues with the knee. Good thing I remembered that before I let you go. All right, I will see you next week with another hip opener, Pigeon's cousin, and we will continue with the hips. So have a great rest of your Monday, a wonderful week. Namaste.